Now let's discuss default on federal student loans. If you're more than 9 months behind, you're considered in default. You may have received a notice of default on it, and the total might be much higher than you expected. That's because once the loan is in default, the entire balance, principal and interest, is due immediately. While in default, you won't be eligible for deferment or forbearance. You also can't get one of the repayment plans that we covered, and if you're in school or planning to go back, you won't be eligible for additional federal student aid. On top of that, you should expect wage garnishments and tax refunds due to you to be seized, which surprises a lot of borrowers during tax season. You'll also probably see negative impacts to your credit history and score due to late and missed payments being reported, in addition to the default. You might also be responsible for late fees, collection fees, or court fees. And lastly, you should expect to be contacted by collection agencies or collectors. If you find yourself in a default situation, there are some things that you can do. Although this may seem strange, you can pay off the loan in full. However, typically, being behind on the loan is due to not having funds. But if it's just a small loan that you forgot about and can pay off, that's an option. Secondly, you might be able to pay it off by refinancing it with a private loan. You'd have to get a new loan to pay off the defaulted loan in its entirety, which also might be difficult, especially if your credit history has suffered because of the default. The last and probably most realistic option is to rehabilitate the loan. What that means is that you'll enter into a temporary agreement with the lender to make payments on the loan. If you meet your end of the deal, the loan will be rehabilitated and out of default status. This will allow you to explore and pursue some of the other options that we covered earlier and get back to paying it off. So you're probably wondering, how exactly do you rehabilitate a loan? Well, the process is actually pretty straightforward. You'll contact your loan servicer, or if you've been contacted by a collection agency, you'll work with them directly. You'll request rehabilitation, which will begin a process with them to determine a reasonable, fixed, affordable monthly payment. They'll generally determine a payment in one of two ways. Either they'll base it on 15% of your discretionary income, or if you object to that payment, you can request and complete an income and expense worksheet, which your servicer will review and calculate a reasonable payment. Once the payment is determined, you'll have to agree to a 10-month-long contract where you will agree to make these new payments on time, meaning no later than 20 days past the due dates. If you start, you'll want to do everything possible to make sure that you stick to the terms, because you only get one chance at rehabilitation. After you rehabilitate, you'll once again be eligible for new student loans, flexible repayment options, and the default will even be removed from your credit report. Rehabilitation can be a great option if you find yourself in this situation. And to get started is as easy as reaching out to your loan servicer or the collection agency that contacted you. So now we've covered the range of options that students with loans have, regardless of what state their loan is in.